like to start and end things on time. I will say we have people still checking in, and we have guests of speakers that have yet to arrive. So we're going to give them about 5 more minutes. But we're going to start at 7:05 because we want to get out of here at 9. And if we don't get out of here at 9, you might not come back. We're trying to build trust here. So, but in the next 5 minutes, if you haven't gotten your program or your 3x5 card or some water or some cookies or some tea, go ahead and grab that. Also, the bathroom is downstairs. There is only one of them. And if you need to go after the next 5 minutes, you're going to have to come up in front of everybody. And then there might be a line. So if you need what my nephews call a tactical wee, now would be the time. Okay? I'll be back up in 5 o'clock, 5 more minutes to get us started. We are streaming tonight on our YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook channels. So if you have any friends that are like, oh, you should totally, I know you couldn't come in person, but you should totally watch what's happening at Larksong tonight, then you can invite them to do that on any of those platforms, and we would be glad to have them join virtually. Thank you for being here. I'll be back up in a few minutes. All right, welcome to Growing Goodness. If you can all find your seats, that would be fabulous. I'm Megan Gilmore. I'm the founder and executive director here at Larksong. Our vision is to courageously co-create a more fulfilled and flourishing world. And our mission is to do that by providing excellent educational services in well-being education, professional coach training, and culture care. You're here tonight as what we would call a culture care event, but for the purpose of supporting our well-being education at Superhero Camp, which starts in less than a week. We're really excited. Dr. Alex Huskey asked what our fundraising goal for Superhero Camp is, and it's $10,000. We've already raised $6,715 of that, which is really exciting. And we've kind of subsidized some of those costs by providing our supply registry on Amazon. So we have almost all of our supplies. We still need some boxes for the kiddos, as well as some ice cream cups and I think some laminating sheets. So if you wanted to be a part of providing those tonight, on the back of your program are a bunch of QR codes. There's a one just to donate. There's one with the supply registry on Amazon. So you just order whatever is still there to order, and it arrives to us in about 2 days. We also, all of the speakers tonight will be speaking around cultivating character specific to 6 virtues. And you can go to viacharacter.org and take a free assessment to discover what your character strengths are, and be a part of growing and cultivating those. The last 2 QR codes here are free resources that we want to give to you and that we would love for you to share with other people as a thank you for being here tonight. The first one is meditations on YouTube. There are 12 meditations for families. They were designed for 5 to 10-year-olds, but we have a lot of adults that use them. And the last one is our Life Purpose Library. So Life Purpose Literacy Library, which are 16 stories that are read by community members here in a Reading Rainbow style with discussion questions for families to help cultivate character and grow a sense of life purpose and meaning in their children from a young age. So wanted to be sure that you had access to those resources, and if there's anybody in your life that you think would benefit from them, please share with them generously. I'd like for, this is going to be, if you've ever been to a Lark Song thing, you know you're probably not just gonna sit and listen. Okay. Because every event that we have and everything that we do, we try to tie back to our mission. So we hope that as a result of you just being here tonight, you leave moving toward a more fulfilled and flourishing version of yourself, but also collectively that we move toward a more fulfilled and flourishing world. So there's 2 things that I'd like you to turn to someone next to you and share. If you don't have someone next to you, this will not be the first time that I ask you to do this, so you're probably going to want to find a buddy, all right? So have you all found a buddy? If you've found a buddy, raise your hand. I love how Jim and Jenny are checking in with each other like, will you be my buddy? Okay, so the first question that you need to answer and tell your buddy is, on a scale of 1 to 100, how would you rate your well-being in this moment? So if 1 is, obviously I'm dead right now and not doing very well, and 100 is, I am flourishing and thriving, I've never been better, where would you rank where you are tonight? Ready, go. Okay. Just the number, you don't need the whole explanation. Okay, and then in in one word, so with brevity, in one word, how would you describe how you are tonight? So you can pick whatever word fits you best. But just one word. Around here, sometimes we allow hyphens, but try to get it to one word. Okay. There are a few things that you will need so that we can all have a successful and effective event tonight. You will need a program. You will need a 3x5 card. Okay? Does everybody have a program and a 3x5 card? If you do not, raise your hand and Aisha will bring you one. Brandon needs one. Everybody else good? That's it. Okay. So we're already set up for success, yes? Wonderful. All right. Love to hear it. The other thing that I want you to just be thinking about, maybe, is if personally, I'm not talking about where you work or where you worship or your family or anything like that. I mean, personally, if you had $500 and 48 hours to grow goodness in our community, what would you do? We'll come back to this question, and this is what your 3x5 card is going to be about. So right now, just write your name on one side. Your answer to this question is going to go on the other side. You don't have to answer it right now. We're going to give you some time to hear from our speakers today. We're going to give you some time to think about it. And we'll come back to this toward the end, okay? But one of the things that we believe strongly in and we're committed to at Larksong is wholehearted reciprocity. And we believe that the children that we're going to be with next week are some of the most creative and generous souls that you could possibly imagine. $500 is nothing for them to be able to raise together in a week. So I'll be calling one of you the Monday after next to let you know that you've won the Superhero Camp mini grant to grow goodness in our community. But that $500 will be provided by our kids and by our junior leaders at Superhero Camp. That we've raised zero of it so far, just so you know. Because they're going to know about it on Monday, okay? But this is something that has been in my heart to do for quite some time. And I'm trusting that reciprocity works. And so we're going to do it. And I am really excited to hear what ideas you have that can be activated by the 5 to 10-year-olds in our community. Cool? So now we have everything we need to be successful tonight. I want to do a quick thank you to Aisha. Raise your hand, Aisha. Aisha, to Greg Fiebig, who's not here tonight. Brandon, raise your hand, Brandon. Aubrey Ghaffari Harvand. Izzy Gilmore and Evan Gilmore for making tonight possible. And I'm going to introduce our first speaker, LeeAnna Smith. Oh, and I'll do it slowly because Tori's coming in. I know she'll be pissed if she misses you. So, LeeAnna, come on up. LeeAnna is the executive director at United Way of Grant County, where she leads with vision, compassion, and a deep belief in the power of community. Since stepping into the role in September 2022, she is focused on building strong partnerships, expanding access to early childhood literacy, and strengthening the local nonprofit network. A wife and proud mom to 2 girls, LeeAnna is a lover of community and a believer in people, committed to uniting resources and relationships to create lasting positive change across Grant County. And what I want you to know about LeeAnna is that she is a woman of heart, celebration, deep questioning, and skillful leadership. Please welcome her.
That's a lot of hype, you know? I have some notes in front of me, so if I look down, I'm referencing my notes, okay? Like she said, my name is LeeAnna Smith. Professionally, I am the executive director at United Way of Grant County. Personally, I am a 40-year-old woman who is living a life that I don't even know that I would have dared to dream was possible when I was younger. I have the incredible fortune of being married to my husband, Nathan Smith, and we have the incredible fortune to have 2 wonderful children together. Everly is 7, almost 8, and Charlie is 5, almost 6. And if you've ever engaged with kids at all, you know how important the almost is. You cannot leave the almost out. He knows. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to share about humanity, I was trying to figure out what I uniquely have to contribute to this topic. And I have a lot of thoughts and beliefs and values around this topic. And so I kind of built out this whole thing. And last night I was just like, I do not feel good about this. The vibes were off, you know? And so I rebuilt it all while I got ready for bed. And then I practiced it extensively today. And so I want to share with you all 3 things that I'm teaching my children about humanity. And I want to share that because kids have a ton of superpowers, right? They'll learn about a lot of them at Superhero Camp next week. My kids are really excited, by the way. But 3 of those superpowers are openness, curiosity, and empathy. And a lot of times as we grow older, we lose our ability to access those superpowers. We access them less and less frequently. And so you probably aren't going to learn anything terribly new about humanity tonight, but I hope that you will be able to tap into the child that is still within you, and that you will be able to engage with this topic from a place of openness and curiosity and empathy. So here are the 3 things that I'm teaching my kids about humanity. 1, humanity is beautiful. There are billions of people on this earth with us right now. And if you look across space and time, there are billions and billions and billions who have been here before us. And there are likely yet to be billions and billions and billions of people here on this wild earth. We are lucky enough to be here for just this little space and time and occupy this one tiny patch of ground. While there are billions of people on this earth currently, we will be lucky to engage with 1 million? I haven't been counting. I don't know. But not 1 billion is what I'm saying, and certainly not billions, plural. And so what I want my sweet girls to know is that there are so many of us on this earth who look just like us, but there are many, many more who don't. There are many people on this earth who share our exact values, but there are many, many, many more who have different values than us. There are many people in this world who share our faith tradition. There are many, many, many more who don't. And all of us will experience love in our life and will show love in our life, but that looks differently for all of us. Our differences are a gift. What I hope that my kids see is the beauty in those differences, that those differences are a strength. They are a credit. They are a gift. They are not a threat. We have a responsibility, a privilege really, to love people well, to show up for people well, and to care for people well. Number 2, humanity is hard. The beautiful thing about humanity is that there isn't one way to do it right. There isn't a correct way to human. But the hard in that is that there isn't a correct way to do it. That means we're all going to have lots of different ideas about how to show up in this world. We're going to disagree with people. We are going to disagree with people strongly. I have disagreed with people strongly this week. That's right. And yesterday was a holiday. You see what I'm saying? And so it is our responsibility to show up still and engage with openness, with curiosity, and with empathy. Hopefully listening more than we speak. Another thing that's hard about humanity is that we will get hurt. There will be people who hurt you unintentionally, accidentally, right? Speaking to kids. What does unintentionally mean? Accidentally. You will have friends who say something that hurts your feelings and they won't even realize. You will have people in your life who are hurting, who will hurt you too, on purpose. It is still our job to show up. It is still our job to love people well. It is also our job to love ourselves well. And so that means you get to look at a relationship and say, can trust be rebuilt? Can we still move forward closely together? And is it okay to say yes? It is also okay to say no. You can love people well and still not be in an intimate, everyday kind of relationship with them. You can love people well and still not trust themselves with parts of you that they have proven to be, or they have proven to show are not safe with them. The third thing, we are not always going to get this right. And so that means sometimes we are going to be the ones who do the hurting. We are going to hurt people accidentally. We are going to hurt people sometimes on purpose. And it is our job to make repair. And we talk about this a lot in my house. What does repair mean? My husband's smiling. He knows. Repair means we acknowledge the wrong that was done. And it means that we genuinely, authentically apologize for that wrong. And then that means that our actions in the future back up those words. We are still not going to get it right, but we are sure as heck going to try. That is our job. It is our responsibility to one another. There aren't a lot of, I'm speaking with a very broad brush. There's not a lot of nuance here, right? Because kids don't really understand nuance, just from a age development, brain development perspective. But for us adults in the room, and hopefully as my children age, they will learn that there is nuance. So 3 things can be true. Humanity is beautiful. Humanity is hard. We are not always going to get it right. The nuance is that loving yourself well and loving others well sometimes lives in tension. And what I hope my girls hear from me and see in me is that you can trust yourself to find a way forward. And so this is a lot, because we are all beautiful, because we are all different. We all have unique strengths. We all have skills that we bring to the table that not everyone has. There's a lot going on in our world right now, if you're paying attention at all. And so please hear me say that this isn't your job to fix everything. It isn't your job to bear the weight of the world alone. We all do have unique strengths. We all do have unique skills. And it takes us all living in those strengths and living in those skills to move forward together. It isn't your job to fix everything. So what is your job? It is your job to find the work that is yours to do, and it is your job to do it. It is your job to hang on to the openness and the curiosity and the empathy, to not let the world take that from you, and to use that. Because as we engage together, it takes all of us operating in that space to make this world wonderfully and wildly beautiful. Thank you.
Well, that was good. So let's keep going. I put my thing down. One of the things that we want to be sure that you have is a label. Now, most of you have your name on your label right now, which is fantastic and perfect, but we're going to need you to have another one. So, Maddie, Aisha, do you have extras that we can hand out? And what we want you to do in between now and we're going to have another speaker, and then we're going to have Aisha bring some music, which I'm very excited about. By the time Aisha is done with her songs, we want you to have on this a label for someone else in the room. Okay? Now, we spent a lot of time labeling and being labeled in negative ways or diminishing ways, but we want to label people in a way that moves them toward fulfillment and flourishing. One of my favorite things that we do at Superhero Camp, which makes me cry nearly every day, is we end the day with a time of, we have a dance party first, and then we have a time of meditation where the kids get underneath their blankets on their yoga mats, and we lead them through a meditation, and they're 50 kids are calm with all kinds of different diagnoses and all kinds of different backgrounds and all kinds of different experiences. And we have leaders and junior leaders. The junior leaders are the greatest surprise and gift ever. They're all Superhero Camp graduates that are now teenagers that dedicate their whole week to coming back and helping. And we give the leaders and the junior leaders 2 to 3 minutes at the end of the day. And the kiddos are laying there, sometimes like a rock underneath their mat, sometimes like this, just totally vibing. And they get on their hands and knees. The leaders and junior leaders get on their hands and knees, and they get really close to each kiddo. They crawl down the line of yoga mats, and they tell each and every one of them something that they saw in them that day that was beautiful or strong or growing. And it's remarkable to watch each child open their eyes and receive that. And it transforms me to watch it. So I'd like us to do something similar where we label each other. So you can pick somebody in the back of the room because we're going to get up and move around, and you're just going to give them the label and say the thing out loud while you look at them, okay? So just want you to know that's coming so that if some of you are more introverted, you need a little bit of time to process, you can write that down, all right? Okay, so next we have Debby Cheruiyot Bii, and she's going to be talking to us about courage. Your bio's a little longer, so you can, and you're right there. So just saying. So, Debby, with over 16 years of experience in higher education, Debby Cheruiyot Bii brings a deep passion for learning, cultural competency, and intercultural engagement. Hailing from, Kericho, Kenya, she now serves at Real Community Covenant Church, where she continues to live out her commitment to meaningful connection and cultural understanding. Her expertise includes work in the intercultural development inventory, through which she equips individuals and teams to grow in intercultural sensitivity, intercultural awareness, and intercultural effectiveness. With a passion for guiding others through learning and transformation, her work is rooted in both academic depth and real-world application. Whether in the classroom, the church, or the community, her goal is to bridge differences and cultivate spaces of growth and mutual respect. She and her husband, Chip, will celebrate 15 years of marriage this July. Woo! Together, they are raising 3 very active boys, Judah, Ezra, and Jarius, who turns 5 in 2 weeks. On the soccer field, you'll definitely hear her before you see her, cheering loudly and proudly for her littles. In her free time, she enjoys connecting with friends and family, experimenting with new recipes, gardening, and unwinding with her favorite shows like The Amazing Race, All American, Chicago Fire, and Chicago Med, though Chicago PD doesn't make the cut. Something that I want you to know about Debby is that I don't think I've ever had a one-on-one time with her where at some point both of us are not pointing our fingers at each other and be like, but you know. So I can't wait for you to hear from her.
Thank you so much. I don't know how to follow LeeAnna after that. All only to say, how do you do all what she just said? And maybe it's with courage. Courage, my topic for this evening is courage as an invitation. Vulnerability is the birthplace of courage. Brene Brown. When we think of courage, perhaps what comes to mind is a battle cry or some sort of heroic act. We might picture firefighters rushing into burning buildings or activists standing up against injustice. Coming off Memorial Day, many gathered around to honor stories of courage of men and women who died while serving this nation. And if you're like me, who is not from a family of veterans, stories of courage may come from the Black men and women who went before me to make a day like today possible. A day that we can all be in the same room, listening and hearing from people of different races or genders and everything else in between. Thank you, God, for how far you've brought us. And oh Lord, continue to be with us and go before us because we have a long ways to go. While all these are certainly powerful examples of courage, courage is not only reserved for the battlefield or the front page of the news. In fact, most of the time, courage is quiet, personal, or messy. It is far more common than we think. Courage is an invitation. It is something that we participate in every single day, knowingly or unknowingly, and most often we participate in it unknowingly. A friend once told me about the bravest thing she ever did. It was to leave a relationship where she felt invisible. One of the bravest things I ever did was choosing myself, my body, over a career. This looked like leaving a job without another one lined up, risking my family's financial security. Courage doesn't show up the same way for all of us, but it does show up. So before we continue, I'd like to invite you into a short visualization. Just a moment to connect not just with my story of courage, but your own. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. Begin to breathe deeply. Inhale strength and exhale tension. Inhale strength and exhale tension. Now imagine a fire flickering in front of you. Not a dangerous or destructive fire, but a warm, alive, inviting, and maybe an ancient one. Welcome to your fire of courage. As you gaze into it, you see images starting to dance in the flames, scenes from your life. Times when you faced fear, uncertainty, or pain. Times when things were difficult or confusing, and yet you moved forward. You did not back down. You spoke up. You stood. You stayed. Zoom into one of those memories. Inhale strength. Exhale tension. Where were you? What were you afraid of? What did you choose to do or not do? And by the way, walking away is also a moment of courage. If you can, feel what that version of you felt. The pounding heart, the sweaty palms, the cotton mouth, the uncertainty. And still you moved forward. Notice that moment of courage. Let it fill your chest. Let it remind you of who you are. That moment may have gone unnoticed by the world, but not by you, not by your heart. Take a breath, inhale strength, and exhale tension. Inhale strength and exhale tension. As you exhale, gently return to the room and open your eyes. Now, I won't make things weird by asking you to share your experience with your neighbor, but I'm not saying that you're weird by doing that. But I do hope that in coming days, you will find brave spaces to share these memories. Courage doesn't mean you weren't scared. It means you said yes to the invitation anyway. It means you answered the call, not because you were fearless, but because you were true to something deeper than fear. So the question is not, am I brave enough or am I courageous enough? Hopefully you know the answer to that question now. The real question is, where is courage inviting me to now? Where is courage inviting you to now? Maybe it's inviting you to finally have the conversation you've been avoiding, or inviting you to leave something behind or start something new. Perhaps it is inviting you to speak when it's easier to stay silent, or to try again when failure whispers that you shouldn't, or to love even after loss. Maybe it's inviting you to rest, to heal, or to try again. You won't always feel ready or strong. Courage doesn't need to be fearless. It just needs you to listen. Courage doesn't always yell. It doesn't need to be loud like I am on the field. It just needs to be chosen. And guess what? You've chosen it before. And without knowing, you've chosen it today. I've seen some of you tell the truth when it was hard, or admit when you didn't know. I've seen others choose empathy over judgment, or walked away from spaces that no longer honored you. I've seen many love deeply, even if it broke their heart. Maya Angelou said that courage is the most important of all of the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Let that sink in. Consistently practicing other virtues requires facing challenges, overcoming fears, or making difficult choices, all of which require courage. Again, courage isn't about being fearless. It's an invitation. And like all invitations, you don't have to be ready to throw a party. You just have to show up. Courage is about checking the mailbox of your life and opening that little envelope of discomfort or longing or hope and saying yes to that fire that I know is inside of you. Thank you.
Next, Aisha May is going to come and share with us. Aisha is proudly a Filipino-American artist born and raised in Indianapolis, Indiana, a singer-songwriter who writes music with thought-provoking lyrics to untangle her life experience. Her music is birthed from a diverse spectrum of influences such as jazz, bossa nova, neo-soul, folk, and gospel. And Aisha is in our current Lark Song Certified Coach cohort. We're so glad to have her come and share.
And if you guys want to welcome, this is my friend Clarence Hooks Jr. We do a lot of gigs together, and he is my right-hand man. But yeah, I do want to say something first. I want to have courage and say something. I am part of the Cohort 25, and I am really honored to be here. I want to use my voice to just say that Megan is really amazing. She really cares for the community, and she really cares for humanity. And just in the past 3 months, I started in March. I don't know if I counted that right, but I started in March, and I feel like there is a part of me that is like reconciled to humanity, through this program, and just I value restoring dignity in people, and just her like grind and her like tenacity and her perseverance over the years. I'm only new to this. Like, I don't know much about Lark Song, but what I've seen in the fruit of now, and anybody that gets in close proximity with her or this program really will experience deep change. And so this superhero camp, this event is really for the children. And I just want to say, if you guys do like feel any inclination to give, like, please do, because yeah, people's lives like matter, and I know you guys know that very deeply in here. So yeah, I want to share with you guys a song. I am Filipino, full Filipino. My dad and mom were born in the Philippines, immigrated here in 1960, 1990, 1990. Woo! And yeah, being Filipino is a huge part of me, and I believe being a part of this program really has brought me deeper into that. So this one is called Buwan. Ako'y sa'yo, ikaw ay akin. Ganda mo sa paningin. Ako na'yo'y nag-iisa. Sana ay tabihan na. Sa ilalim ng puting ilaw, sa dilaw na buwan, pakinggan mo ang aking sigaw. Sa dilaw na buwan, ayokong mabuhay ng malungkot. Ikaw lang nagpapasaya, at makakasama hanggang sa pagtanda. Halina tayo'y humiga. Sa ilalim ng puting ilaw, sa dilaw na buwan, pakinggan mo ang aking sigaw. Sa dilaw na buwan, ang iyong ganda'y umaabot sa buwan. Ang tibok ng puso'y tinig sa kalawakan, at bumabalik dito sa akin. pakinggan ang puso't damdamin, damdamin aking damdamin. Sa ilalim ng puting ilaw, sa dilaw na buwan, pakinggan mo ang aking sigaw. Sa dilaw na buwan, ba-ba-da, ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-ba-da, ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Sa ilalim ng puting ilaw, sa dilaw na buwan, pakinggan mo ang aking sigaw. Sa dilaw na buwan. Thank you. That song, Buwan, it means moon. It basically means that your beauty stretches as far as the moon. That's what that was saying. This next song, I wrote this for a friend's wedding. She asked me to write a song for her down the aisle for her to walk to. And this is the song. I sang it for her. Her wedding was in Mazatlán, Mexico. So it was really beautiful. Longing, oh longing, oh longing to be with you. Promise, oh promise, oh promise, you'll be here soon. I hear my lover coming, reaping over mountains, bounding over hills. Swift like a gazelle, I hear him running. Just beyond the wall, he says to me, refreshing, refreshing, oh how refreshing. You cover me, you're the finest, the fairest, oh how delightful, embracing me. I hear my lover coming, leaping over mountains, bounding over hills. Swift like a gazelle, I hear him running. Just beyond the wall, he says to me, arise, arise,
past and the flowers start to show. The season brings singing, the cherry blossom grows. Oh, darling, come close now, let me see your face. Oh, my beloved is mine now, been waiting for this day. Longing, oh, longing, oh, longing to be with you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to write your label. It should say, I see blank in you. So if you have to look around the room, and if you're new here, if you don't know anybody in this room, you've heard from 2 speakers and 1 musician already. I'm pretty sure you saw something in them. Okay? So I see blank in you. I've already given you like 15 seconds, right? So you've got 45 more seconds to fill that out. How we doing? Once you've got yours, can you like raise it up? Kind of like a auction ticket or something. Only we're not bidding on anything. Yeah. What's up, Lizzie? You need one? I see blank, whatever it is, in you. So you're filling in the blank about someone in this room, and then you're going to deliver it to them. They're going to wear it, but you have to say it out loud when you deliver it. Okay? So I see courage in you. Aubrey's really good at these. She comes up with whole, like, gorgeous metaphors. Some of my favorite ones are, like, in my journal, taped in there 3 times from Aubrey. All right, that was 45 seconds. You have 2 minutes to deliver your label and get back to your seat. Ready? Go. I almost asked you earlier today, I was like, help me style this. I only had this. You have 30 seconds. Ten. And that's 0. Okay. Uh, next, we'll be hearing from Dr. Alex Huskey. Dr. Alex Huskey is a bivocational public servant serving as the pastor for New Bethany Church of God in Christ in Marion, Indiana. In this role, he also serves as the chairman of the Board of Ordination and as an administrative assistant to the prelate of Historic Indiana First Ecclesiastical Jurisdictional. Wow. You should have a PhD just for all that. He also serves as the chancellor for Ivy Tech Community College in the Marion campus. Before becoming a chancellor with Ivy Tech, Alex retired from law enforcement and regulatory service after 23 years and 9 months. This service includes being chairman of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, the superintendent of the Indiana State Excise Police, and service with the Marion Police Department. Several roles including assistant chief of police. Alex is also an Air Force veteran. He served 4 years active duty and 6 years in the reserves, working in the field of behavioral sciences. He and his wife, Ellen, have 2 children, Alyssa Kelly and Matthew Tristan Huskey, and 7 grandchildren. And I heard the speakers all excited about, is there a new grandchild? Is that what's happening? Okay. Something I want you to know about Alex is that I served with him on the Board of Public Works last year. And this man knows how to run an efficient meeting. So if any of you are like, hey, we don't know how to run an efficient meeting where I work or where I worship or where I go in, just ask. I mean, he's got a lot going on, obviously, but I don't think I have ever been in a meeting that is run more efficiently and more productively than when Alex is leading it. So he will be speaking on transcendence tonight. Thank you, Alex.
I want to do something tonight, and it is going to be an invitation to courage. It is going to have you think a little bit about humanity. And I want you to take just a few seconds and imagine yourself. Close your eyes if you would, if you trust the process, even those of you watching virtually. Imagine yourself as a superhero. Just a few seconds. Okay. I'm not going to ask you to share what your superhero character was or that power. But I would imagine, and I saw some smiling faces and a little bit of laughter, some chuckling and fidgeting around. I would imagine that what you thought of was the character in motion, the character in action, what you would be dressed like, what you would look like. But I guarantee you, you did not think about how you became a superhero. Many times, thank you very much. Many times we look at individuals and we hear stories about people that have superhuman strength when a car has fallen on someone or someone is in danger and they go in and they rescue them. We hear those stories about people who receive a bad diagnosis and they continue to live their life full of joy, full of hope, full of happiness, as if the diagnosis didn't come at all. What makes those people? Well, I'm going to tell you, they were developed. They were developed. And I guarantee you, when I finish here in just about 9 more minutes, you will see your superhero come out. Because one of the things I want you to understand is that superheroes are made when there is a crisis and a need for one. They are carefully selected, chosen, and given powers and strength that they don't even know that they have when they're first selected. In fact, many times superheroes do not find themselves with power or strength until little things happen. Like if you think about Spider-Man, until he starts to walking and all of a sudden he can't move his feet because they're stuck to the ground. He doesn't understand what's happening. And so a lot of times when these things are happening to us, when we're going through this process of transformation, we don't realize what's happening, but we're being developed. Then we start to notice little other subtleties that happen, maybe slight changes in our appearance. We still look like people, but there are many people like us. But all of a sudden we realize we see humanity very differently, and we see the opportunities to help humanity. We see the opportunities to grow, the opportunities to engage, the opportunities to be something different than what we were or better than what we were. And then all of a sudden, our philosophy about life begins to change. Our consciousness begins to change. Our awareness of the needs of others, our awareness of the needs of community, our awareness of our own family needs and our personal needs began to change. We began to look at things differently and behave differently. Intellectually, we began to develop skill sets we didn't know we had. You know, just like that child that was once told, you will never go to college. And all of a sudden, many years later, they have a doctorate degree. Or that kid that would not speak in front of people because they were too shy, but all of a sudden they find themselves speaking in front of people every Sunday morning and in events like such. You know, those little subtle things that happen to us when we began to realize that we have a voice and our voice is important and our voice needs to be heard, but we also know that sometimes our voice needs to be silent when we can't develop the greater good. We understand that superheroes, really think about this. I have to tell you this because when you think about transcendence, superheroes are invited to step out into their courage. And as they're being developed, many times it comes with fear first. They don't know how to act or how to use this talent that I've been given. I have to figure it out, and it's by trial and error. And sometimes they figure out that the trial and error was part of the development in the first place. And then once they began to believe in their abilities, what they recognize is that they were chosen by a higher power for a higher purpose. And as you think about who you are, I need you to think about no matter where you come from, who you have been involved with, what purpose have you developed? Oh, by the way, did I tell you that many times superheroes only have one talent? And they have to figure out how that one talent is capable of moving things beyond their abilities. And they often are very unsure of themselves and their capabilities. And so sometimes they resist having that superpower, because now it also means that I must become vulnerable. And people might find out what my weaknesses really are, although I might be performing things well. People might find out that I had a speech impediment, but I worked through it. People might find out that maybe I have been challenged and I didn't have a good relationship with family members, but I worked through it. But when it all comes to, and they finally come to the realization, the superhero, the person who has been through all of this, realize I never saw myself as having this ability. but there's something greater than me that has given me abilities beyond my own belief in myself. What must I do with this great talent that I have now? How might I employ it for the greater good? How might I use my resources, not for my own growth and development, but how might I use my resources? And why was I given abundant resources? We open up our eyes and we begin to see. And can you imagine one thing? Can you imagine that at that particular point in time, think about this. That's when the superhero picks out its outfit. They become confident, and they go and set themselves out to conquer great enemies and foes so that there could be better opportunities. You've been invited to examine humanity from the lens of people like you, but understanding that there are so many more different than you. You've been invited to understand humanity, that it's hard, it's going to be difficult. Life is difficult, but you can make it. You've been invited to be courageous. But being courageous also means that you face your greatest fears. And understand that they are what they are. They are simply fears. They cannot control me, nor can they hurt me, because now I have a great power on my side. And I choose, now hear this, I choose to operate in this great strength. I choose to operate in this great strength. So tonight, I want you to think about what it is you think you can't do. But realize just because you can't see it now doesn't mean you're not capable of performing it. Many times our greatest opportunities come when we feel in our weakest and our darkest moments, and we realize one thing. I take you back to that person who sees the car fall on someone, and they walk up to that car and they don't know what they can do, but they grab that car and they say, "Oh God, help me!" And all of a sudden that car is lifted up and the person is taken into freedom. They didn't know they had it in them, but crisis required it. What is crisis requiring you to be today as a superhero? Thank you.
All right, before we invite our next speaker up here, I think it's time for a little embodiment. We've been sitting for a little bit, yeah? Another thing we do at Lark Song is act like we're whole people with bodies. So, surprise, you have a body. I'd like to invite you, if you're able to stand up, we're going to do a collective embodied meditation. Sound fun? All right, this is one that we do with kids. It's called Rainstorm. It's from a book called Breathe Like a Bear. If you've got kids or grandkids, it's a great one. So, I think it might rain. Let's rub our hands together. The wind is really picking up. Now tap your hands slowly on your thighs, on your legs. It's starting to rain. A little bit faster. It's really starting to rain. Oh my gosh, we're going to get soaked. Lightning, clap your hands. Thunder, stomp your feet. Lightning, clap your hands. Thunder, stomp your feet. Lightning, clap your hands. Thunder, stomp your feet. Oh my gosh, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining. Okay, start slowing it down. Oh, the rain might be stopping. Wow, that's amazing. And now the wind is slowing down. Wind is slowing down. As you slowly sit back down, take a deep breath in and out. As we're all quiet and still one more time. Good job, everybody. Next up, we have Jim Allbaugh speaking on temperance. I love Jim's bio that he sent because in it, he tells me what he loves and what he values. And I just think that's the coolest kind of bio. So let me share it with you. Jim loves his God and his Grant County community. Jim loves his family, including his wife, Jenny, who's here, his 2 kids, his daughter-in-law, and his granddaughter. Jim loves the place where he's able to fulfill his local mission work as the president and CEO. And that place is Carry Services. Jim values the characteristic of temperance, and he looks forward to sharing about that value with you now. What I want you to know about Jim is I will not write another book unless he can be my copy editor. Okay? I mean, I'll pay you and everything. I don't know if you have to retire first, but he's a man of humility, energetic wit, and soulful leadership. Thank you, Jim.
Hello. So I'm thankful to have an opportunity to share this evening and to celebrate with Lark Song. What does balance in your life look like to you right now? Take a moment to feel it, to listen to it, maybe speak to it, and look towards it. Balance. I have to admit I had to sharpen my study and research skills just a little bit to be able to share with you this evening about temperance. My guess is, if I ask someone here tonight, the last time you heard the word temperance, right? I imagine the answer would possibly be never. I'm frankly not sure I have even ever uttered that word until tonight. Okay, maybe I've communicated with others about this awesome event, and maybe I've rehearsed it a few times as well. You know, the word temperance, thank you. Appreciate that. So the word temperance is certainly not a common term, at least these days. Temperance, I might argue, for myself and our world, is not a value that is embraced. And my declaration this evening is that temperance should be an everyday common value. What I know now in this moment is that I've come to cherish and personally relate more than I realized to the value of temperance. I'm excited to spend some time with you tonight, hopefully instilling in you an opportunity to embrace and master temperance in your lives. In the most simple and easiest terms, as I've evaluated what I'm talking about tonight, I'm talking about balance with a splash of humility. For some in the room, the idea of the temperance movement is a historical reference that we learned about in books. Temperance, maybe, is a personal reference or journey you have taken or are taking. Like my journey of the more recent months. I'll share a little bit more about that later. According to the Oxford Languages Online Dictionary, one definition explains temperance as the complete abstinence from alcoholic drinks. Did you know at the same online reference, the opposites of the value of temperance are noted as bibulousness and crapulence? Who knew? Amazing what you can learn online, and you'll have to write those down, and you can study those later. Bibulousness and crapulence. More generally, though, temperance can be defined as moderation or self-restraint. That second definition is what I'll be spending most of my time with you this evening talking about. Temperance is not about being perfect, denying yourself joy or pleasure, or being a fun sucker. I fear I've been accused of the latter a few times in my quest for temperance. My beautiful wife is in the room this evening, and if not for the value that she demonstrates well of temperance, she would be shaking her head yes to the fact I can occasionally be a fun sucker. The phrase all things in moderation is a good description and a good way to think of temperance. Our new AI friend, Copilot, notes that the phrase all things in moderation emphasizes the importance of balance in life. It suggests that one should avoid extremes and instead find a middle ground in various aspects such as diet, work, and leisure. Temperance is not imprudence, excess, or overindulgence. Temperance is a skill to be mastered. Temperance is not a characteristic to be avoided. I've worked in my life so far to master percussion, peace, joy, communication, empathy, relationship, professionalism, and intentionality. And I did say I've worked, and I'm still working. Most or all of you can identify one or two things over your lifetime you've worked to master also. I'll say again, I continue to contend the value of temperance is a skill that must be mastered. Choosing the middle of the road, discerning when enough is enough, avoiding impulse. Temperance is about being intentional with my choices, words, actions, and reactions. I can't define for you what temperance looks like. That is for each of us to determine ourselves. A lack of temperance sometimes, many times, equals consequences. Many times those are negative consequences. There can be positive consequences, of course. Here are a couple of examples of where lack of tact and temperance with ignoring that value could get me in trouble. Ooh, there's so much to say about everything going on in this world right now. The political environment, people's choices I don't agree with, what people say on social media, in my comments section. I want to share all my thoughts going on in my head and the world, and I'm going to share it with you right now. No. Temperance, Jim. I'm not going to share. I'm going to hold my tongue. I'm practicing temperance. I want to fix all of the challenges this community has today, and I'm pretty sure I have all the answers. I'm going to share all of my opinions with you right now, and they will be the right solutions. Temperance, Jim. I'm not always right, and my opinions do not always represent the best solutions. Here's the big problem with the world being unable to embrace humanity or humility and temperance today. The world, maybe social media, tells us we need the best car, we need the best house, we need the best job, we have to be better and enough. We need the best partner, the newest this, the greatest that. Scroll just a little bit further, clear out those notifications now before I get too many. Temperance. It really isn't a very sexy word, and that is a challenge in this world in which we live today. As I reviewed what I was going to share, and as I related the value of temperance to what I observe on social media, I fear temperance is rarely demonstrated. It arguably doesn't sell. The practice of temperance on social media doesn't add clicks to the meta powers that be. Temperance seeks to rarely, if ever, sell ads. What might my personal journey to mastering temperance look like? Man, this hits home in so many ways. I really feel I was supposed to share about temperance tonight. If I may make myself vulnerable, there are two things that come to mind when I think about temperance and struggles I face or have faced as I learn to master temperance. First, I've been described and would describe myself from time to time and from circumstance to circumstance as an all or nothing guy. I can tend towards living on the extremes, not just stopping at one, obsessing about an interest, a hobby, or a new opportunity where that is all I can think about, scroll about, and talk about. I can either be all in or all out, even when I take those darned personality inventories. I'm way over here or way over there for many of the characteristics being inventoried. Not in the middle, letting anxiety get in the way of my joy. All of that without even a touch of temperance. Second, the dynamics I described just a moment ago have crept into my life from time to time when I think about my voyage and drinking alcohol. There have been times in my life where the concepts or practice of all or nothing, or obsessing and not being able to maintain in the middle, have caused me to do things and say things that I wish I had not because of a lack of temperance. I was not in balance, literally and figuratively. I suppose from time to time, it took me a long time to realize that what I needed to master with that journey was temperance. The epitome of the first definition of temperance, as I shared earlier. This evening, I'm just a little bit more than 6 months without an alcoholic drink, and I'm working to master temperance. How can temperance be delivered in our world today? Certainly take and sense that intentional hesitation before the second, third, or fourth drink. Turn the page on a bad habit that is causing a lack of balance in your life. Place the phone aside at the dinner table, during time with friends, when with a significant other, even at bed and or first thing in the morning. Listen, like really listen, and do not think about what to say next while someone is talking to me. Recognize who is around, what they might value and or have experienced, and make sure to temper what is said or done to respect where the other person is coming from. Challenge at least one person in the next week to contemplate the value of temperance, not in a judgmental way, but in a way that values that person. Some, maybe many in this world today, may say what I'm suggesting is not glitzy, dazzling, or attractive, but practicing temperance can be hauntingly potent when you think about the value and deep hunger humans hold to relate to each other. I profess to be a Christian. I do not profess to be a preacher. The value of temperance, though, is spread throughout the Bible. Galatians 5:23 speaks to gentleness and self-control, and the fact, against such things there is no law. Against such things there is no law. 2 Peter 1:5-7 says, for this very reason make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness. Every effort. And there are more than a dozen different passages that speak to drunkenness in the context of the values I believe temperance reveals. The reality is, temperance is what our world needs so desperately today. Mastering temperance is for everyone, and mastering temperance is bold and fearless. Choosing temperance is not nerdy, dull, or boring, and choosing temperance will not result in a person being outcast from society. A person who chooses temperance as a core value will improve their own quality of life, arguably the quality of life for others, improving their own relationships, and improving their own health. Balance, temperance. What does balance in your life look like to you now? Thinking about how you can master temperance today, take a moment to feel it, embrace it, listen to it, speak to it, and look towards and forward to it. Thank you.
Jim, I see you don't have another name tag or label. So I just want to say that I see deep discernment and extravagant grace in you. Thank you. Next, we're going to be hearing from Madeline MacKinnon. She's going to be bringing her musics. Madeline is a soulful artist and belly laugher. She loves color, deeply values beauty and excellence, and fundamentally believes that we're all made for abundantly full and vibrant lives. Maddie believes her purpose is to be the fiery oxygen that beckons aliveness and gives hope wings. She lives from a well of wonder, justice, and restoration. Professionally, she's a certified coach. Where'd you get that? Yeah, okay. Floral designer, singer-songwriter, and poet. Please welcome Madeline. Oh, are you all up here right now? Are you all up here now, or is it just Madeline right now? Aisha? Oh, just tune in. Okay. All right.
Can I use this?
Oh, yeah, you want to? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm going to sing two different songs. One of them, the last year and a half, somebody really, really close to me attempted suicide multiple times and failed, which is a gift. But it kind of like changed my life in a lot of ways. Some really painful and some really good. I'm going to try and move this while I'm talking. But going through that experience with a family member who wanted to die was, as you can imagine, really painful. And so I went through just a season of deep, deep, deep depression last year and started to kind of have my own painful mental health journey. And so I wrote this song kind of like as a offering to my family member and then also to my own self. So.
Did it feel like sunshine? Go dancing in the rain. Promise that you'll see the light of day again. Let it be a rewind. You can be a friend. Nostalgia welcomes you, just let her come in. You told me you wanted to write music for the people. You didn't know that your melodies were actually for your own soul. You told me you wanted more out of this beautiful life. But here you are in your bed, in your head, every day, every night. Get help, she prays. I need your help today. Would you rescue me from my own self? cannot stay this way. It cannot stay this way. I won't linger in my pain anymore. Let it feel like sunshine, go dancing in the rain. I promise that you will see the light of day again. Oh, let it be a rewind. You can't be afraid. Nostalgia welcomes you, just let her come in.
Thank you. Do I have time for one more? This one is called I Met God in a Rainforest. And this one is about my childhood, both in Mexico City and also actually mostly in Costa Rica. Well, this song is primarily about Costa Rica. And it talks about just ways that I've met God in through my experience in Costa Rica. But honestly, more of a reflection on like my own journey of spirituality, learning to know that God is much more expansive than I once thought. Yeah, so let me just locate my chords real quick. Give me 1 second. There we go, yeah.
I met God in a rainforest, Heliconia and dart frogs, no. Sweet, sweet smell, the volcano soil, sugar cane and coffee beans can grow. I met God in my homeland food, sweetest taste and richest textures cold. The very breath that He filled me with, carne asada con some pineapple. Elote made by all my auntie's hands, conchas, frijoles taken my imagination places it wants to go. Take me back to my soul's first home. Let me drink in all the goodness and savor the whole. I met God in Mexico City streets. Smells like mango and an unkept road. Painted homes telling color stories. Fruta linda como tu amor. I met God in Mexico City streets. Smells like mango and an unkept road. Painted homes telling color stories. Fruta linda como tu amor. Ameyali campanario, mi casita rojo con flores alrededor. Take me back to my soul's first home. Let me drink in all the flavors and savor the whole. cycle. Both so tense but provided for. Never heard my neighbors knock on heaven's doors like that before. I met God in the hungry deeds, high and intoxicated, searching for love. I met God up in Madeline. Oh, la playa me cerré la eyes. Slow down, relax, walk at the pace of love. Child, keep your head up. Don't try to scrub off the sun from your skin. No, no sé cuándo regresaré. Sé que te amo con cuerpo y corazón. Mi México, México. I met God in a rainforest, heliconia and dart frogs. No, sweet, sweet smell, the volcano soil, sugar cane and coffee beans can grow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Every new moon, I create a new blessing for the next 28-ish days. And my blessing, just so you know, yesterday was the new moon for this month. So my blessing for the last lunation was, may I be rooted in wisdom, and may I move and be moved at the speed of trust. And as Maddie was singing, it brought that blessing back up in me. I repeat it multiple times a day as a well-being practice for myself. And we're here to raise money or support Superhero Camp tonight. That's the main intention of our time together. I think that we're all receiving things that we think maybe might not be related to Superhero Camp, but they're all rooted in wisdom. And I think too, I am moving and being moved at the speed of trust tonight. Something that I was struggling with earlier today was some insecurity around how many people would be here tonight, and knowing the value of what would show up in this room. And every speaker that I invited to speak didn't ask me this time, what is Lark Song? What do you guys do? What is coaching? They didn't ask that. Every one of them had an enthusiastic yes. They didn't even ask, like, how much time do I have, or how do you want me? They had an enthusiastic yes, and they said something like, I would be honored to do that. And I felt so respected and seen and heard in a community, in a space, thanks, Tori, where I felt really misunderstood before. But that's okay. And I want to express gratitude to each of you for showing up from a space of trust this evening. And I want to ask you to give from that space too. If our resources are precious and what we do with them matters, and so us asking for you to give some of your resource, whether that be in volunteering time next week or donating money or getting on the Amazon supply registry and getting some of those last things for us, that matters and is tied to your values. And so it matters to me that you would trust us with those resources and that we'll do something good with them. We'll grow goodness with them. So if you can trust us to do that, then please give. And if you're like, I don't know yet, what is Lark's song? What you doing here? That's okay too. And we'll continue to endeavor to build trust and move at that speed. I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker. Julie and I just met in person for the first time today. And some of you in this room are like, oh, the universe is about to explode. Right? Yeah. When I invited Julie, I told her, I said, I think that for a long time we've kind of seen each other from afar, like, go girl, you get that thing. Keep going, call me in if you need it. I've respected Julie from afar for years now, and am really, really blessed that she said yes to speaking on justice tonight. It was important to me that a white woman spoke on justice tonight. And because I think that we need to stop asking for that emotional labor, especially from women of color. So the fact that I can invite Julie to share her words, her heart, her poetry from a place that I deeply trust on justice means a lot to me. So she's a new resident of Marion. Julie Moore attends Real Community Covenant Church, which I didn't realize is in the house tonight. I invited them all separately. They're like, did you know that you basically lined up Real Covenant? I was like, no, that's great. She works remotely for Eastern University. She's also the author of 4 books of poetry, including Full Worm Moon, which won a 2018 Woodrow Hall Top Shelf Award and received honorable mention for the Conference on Christianity and Literature's 2018 Book of the Year Award. Please help me welcome Julie.
You know what? This is good. What I might actually, right, okay. So, I've been a professor my entire career, and I am nearing retirement age. So, LeeAnna, if you're still here, yes, the almost really does still matter at this age. Even more so because I'm almost retired, which means I'm also almost dead. And so, I'm hanging on the almost, okay? But as a career professor, that means I'm the speaker that showed up with PowerPoint. And do I need to point it at the computer? No. There we go. There I am. All right, here we go. Justice, all right? And yes, I have a website, so just use my name and you'll get it. Last year when I was visiting my mother in Ohio and wearing this t-shirt, a t-shirt I had ordered to support the work of historian and racial justice activist Jemar Tisby, the front of the t-shirt declares even, justice takes sides. In the kitchen making a salad, my mother took one look at me as I entered and quipped, I thought justice was supposed to be blind. I thought for a minute, then answered, actually, if justice were blind, that would be harmful because it would not be able to see who needs it most. 2 phrases, but lives depend on which way they turn. On the one hand, we want justice to be impartial and not to show favoritism. On the other hand, we want justice to be perceptive, because when it's not, we instead will hear Langston Hughes's poem aptly titled Justice in our ears. that justice is a blind goddess is a thing to which we black our eyes. Her bandage hides two festering sores that once perhaps were eyes. What an image Hughes gives us. A justice that is blind to the sorrows and suffering of the oppressed is no justice at all. Instead, it is a brutal indifference, a self-inflicted violence. That's what King Solomon was trying to get to the bottom of when two women approached him arguing over the custody of an infant. Cut the child in two, Solomon suggested, so each woman could have half. The real mother protested. The other woman, not so much. There was nothing blind about Solomon's suggestion, nothing blind about the wisdom that invoked the justice that saved that infant's life. Such wisdom undergirded the entire civil rights movement, as Martin Luther King Jr. quoted the scriptures often, including the minor prophet Amos, when he said, as he often did, "We will not be satisfied until justice rolls down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream." The Hebrew scriptures, in fact, harp on this combo, this combination of righteousness and justice quite a bit. In fact, in the Hebrew worldview, justice and righteousness are synonymous with one another. You cannot make things right without either one. For instance, Isaiah 1 reads simply, "Learn to do right, seek justice." And what, you might ask, is that justice we're supposed to seek? What should we work for? The verse continues, "Defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow." And Psalm 72 lets us know that God himself will rescue the oppressed from oppression and violence. Precious is their blood in his sight. It does appear, therefore, that justice does take sides. The side against oppression and oppressors, the side against murders and murderers, and grift and thieves, and the side for the oppressed, for the needy, for the afflicted. He sees them. They are precious in his sight. Justice is not blind. Instead, it has compassion. It seeks to rescue. A lot of people don't realize that the term social justice was coined by Jesuit priests back in Italy a couple of hundred years ago. And Tapparelli, I'm channeling my New Jersey accent here and my very Italian friends from back home. Tapparelli explained that individualism actually is what tends to lead to perpetual antagonism where each one offers the minimum in order to obtain the maximum. He said, arguing that social justice requires ignoring individual merit is entirely consistent with thinking about human beings fundamentally simply as units of production and consumption. Viewing humans, however, as having intrinsic worth and value, apart from what they do, from what they produce, from what they consume, is likewise an important ingredient for justice. Tapparelli argued justice happens or doesn't happen in community. It is social in nature. I don't think there's any justice without social justice. Consider the story of Cariol Horn, for instance. In 1988, Cariol Horn was hired as a police officer in Buffalo, New York. On November 1st, 2006, officers went to the home of Neil Mack and arrested him. By the time Horn arrived on the scene, one officer, Gregory Kwiatkowski, had Mack in a chokehold, even though Mack was already handcuffed and was being assaulted by Kwiatkowski. Horn shouted at Kwiatkowski to stop, but he didn't. Mack was choking and crying out, a phrase we all know too well at this point in time, "I cannot breathe." Horn intervened, yanking Kwiatkowski's arm from Mack's neck. Kwiatkowski then punched Horn in the face. The two exchanged blows. Internal Affairs investigated, supported Kwiatkowski, and eventually Horn was fired. Kwiatkowski then sued Horn and her attorney for defamation and won a $65,000 judgment. By 2014, however, Kwiatkowski's excessive force caught up with him. He was in prison for 4 months and put in home confinement for 4 months for violating the civil rights of 4 black teenagers. Where was Horn all these years? Because of the court judgments against her and the fact that she was fired right before she could collect her pension after 20 years of service, she could not support herself. She worked odd jobs as she was raising 5 children and often was living out of her car. Despite several offers, however, to put the case quietly away, she refused. Horn kept fighting. Why? Not for herself, but because she said, this case is not about me and me alone. Rather, it's about all the officers coming behind me who are afraid to stand up and do the right thing. Horn, in other words, understood that justice, and still understands, she's still alive, that justice is social. So eventually she and fellow citizens drafted a law named for her, Caroliel's Law, as a duty to intervene law that the Council of Buffalo, the City Council of Buffalo, finally passed in October of 2020. Another year later, on the heels of George Floyd's death in 2021, the New York Supreme Court then vacated the ruling against her from 2010 and finally awarded her her back pay and her pension. I mention this story because I've written about Cariol Horn. Her story is so inspiring to me as a story of justice and a story of social justice. And I'm not going to read to you the whole poem tonight in the interest of time. It would be unjust of me to take up more time than I'm allotted. But I'm going to read an excerpt of the poem because it also goes through the litany of lives lost to police brutality in the intervening years in which Horn was fighting for this law. And yet this law only exists in Buffalo. She is still working to make it nationwide. So this poem is called Ode to Cariol Horn, and I'm just going to read an excerpt for you. November 2006, Buffalo. Cariol channeled Fannie Lou, met white rage dressed in blue that throttled black breath with bear hug headlock, and yanked the uniform's manly collar, traded blow for blow, throwing her fists in rhyme to the mantra, keeping time by any means necessary. When IA cleared Kwiatkowski, not Officer Horn, when he sued her and won, when her car became her home, she sang, I will overcome. 15 years, 180 months, 65,700 days, 1,576,800 hours later, after Kwiatkowski pled guilty in 2011 to civil rights violations against 4 black teens whose heads and torsos he shellacked and shoved into a cruiser, after he spent 4 months in jail, after 12-year-olds Deonta Terrell Farrell and Tamir Rice bled out with toys in hand, after Charlena Shavon Lyles and the baby in her womb were christened with an ungodly spray, she thought police devils and KKK, after Terrence Crutcher, Philando Castile, and Alton Sterling, after matriarch and missionary Baptist Betty Boo Jones received an offering of lead the day after Christmas, never to raise her voice in the choir again, after Sandra Bland, after beloved juniors Freddie, Carlos Gray, and Michael Brown, after John Crawford III, after Eric Garner could no longer savor the flavor of American air, after Ayanna Monet Stanley Jones caught a slug in her 7-year-old skull, after Botham Jean and Breonna Taylor learned a house can become a noose, after George Floyd cried for his mother with his last agonizing gasp, after Dante Demetrius Wright finally, this fierce and beautiful black woman with a law now in her name heard the judge proclaim, the time is always right to do right. Horn now works tirelessly to get her eponymous law passed on a national level because she believes in justice. She believes in saving lives. She believes that Eric Garner and George Floyd would still be alive today if this law had already been made a law 20 years ago across the nation. We're here tonight to raise funding for Lark Song Superhero Camp. I submit to you that Cariol Horn is a real-life superhero. And Horn's life is not only in service of justice and righteousness, but also in service to compassion, to empathy. In fact, and I got so carried away with her story, I forgot to switch the slide. But in fact, Benjamin Franklin wrote, "Justice will not be served until those who are unaffected are as outraged as those who are." We may think we're unaffected, like a student of mine some years ago thought, but that's an illusion. Viking life, my college student responded after reading Ta-Nehisi Coates' letter to his son that describes beatings from Baltimore police and his own father, how everywhere he turned, his body was a flesh-eating target. Oh well, history is full of violence, my pupil continued, entering his note of discord into the conversation. Today, as workers jackhammer asphalt in D.C., that hashtag rattles in my mind, for I recognize its steel resolve fracturing the Black Lives Matter mural's bright bones, like the baton that broke John Lewis's skull in Selma, bloody, bloody Sunday, and here, Bloody Monday. What day of our history escapes unscathed? On Tuesday and Wednesday, the race massacre in Tulsa, complete with planes and dynamite. On Thursday, the lynchings of black boys in Indiana. On Friday, Lincoln's mass execution of the Dakota tribe. On Saturday, the kidnapping, the beating, the shooting in the head, the wrapping barbed wire around the neck, the tossing into the Tallahatchie River of Emmett Till, 14 years of age. Mamie's son, Coates' son, American son. Even Harriet Tubman didn't survive scrubbing from websites lately. When will we learn? The more we try to erase, the more we excavate, laying bare our whitewashed tombs full of violence. The only way to care about others' suffering is to know about it, not to hide it, especially if we think it doesn't affect or concern us. And that knowledge has to then be tied to compassion and empathy. After all, as another superhero used to say, Fannie Lou Hamer, nobody is free until everybody is free. And how do we ensure justice? Toni Morrison famously said, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then it's your job to empower somebody else. It is our responsibility. We are the community. We have to do the work, Marion. And that leads me to an unlikely natural superhero, and I'll end on this note. And this is the marram grass that is all around and atop the sand dunes in Indiana Dunes National Park. Without the marram grass, there are no dunes. Wow. They hold the dunes and the shape. So this poem I'll read and end with is called Marram Grass, Indiana Dunes National Park. And this is the grass speaking to you in the voice of the grass. I like to turn phrases, so those of you who know the old Sunday school song about how the foolish man builds his house upon the sand and the wise man builds his house upon the rock, I'm turning that on its head as well. Marram grass. I know what you've heard. Build on rocks. When rain pours down, you will not fall. I'm a prickly enigma. I build my tin green home on sand because we are friends. Believe it or not, my foundation is stable. My rhizomes cement my footer and multiply my kind all down the line. My architecture's ingenious. My reedy enrolled leaves store water while catching the Great Lakes wind. I am a wonder and welcoming, sharing the wealth atop this dune, inviting other populations to join me. I am no fool. As I bask in the sun, I hold this whole community together. May we wed justice to kindness, to compassion, to empathy, rooting it in love that humanizes every person, because that's the side that justice takes. We, the people, are the ones who ensure justice.
All right, we ready to seed some good? Yes, great. I know you're probably like, Megan, it's about 9 o'clock. Just so you know, we're not ending at 9 o'clock, obviously. But I will tell you where we are and where we're going before we're done tonight. Okay, so we are going to collect your ideas. We're going to collect your ideas on your 3x5 cards. All right, so if you can write those ideas down, and if I can have Aubrey and Aisha collect the cards, that would be great. So as soon as you've got your idea about what you could do with $500 in 48 hours to do good in this community, raise that up, and Aisha or Aubrey will come and get it from you. The other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to talk about giving one more time right now. And then we are going to hear from Dr. Sarah Farmer. And then we have one more song where Madeline and Aisha and Clarence will all co-create together something flourishing. And that's where we'll end tonight. So totally understand if you only committed to be here until 9 o'clock and need to be somewhere else, but that's where we are and where we're going. And we'd love for you to stay for the rest of the time. All right, 3x5 cards going. Make sure your name is on one side, please. Because, yeah, we don't really do fake around here either. So, you know, we're really going to call you. If the kids are like, this is what we want to happen in our community, we're really going to call you and be like, all right, you got 48 hours? Let's go. I'm excited about that. So we tried to make it really easy to give tonight. There's a QR code on the back of your program that you can donate with a card. If you're like, Megan, people just be sending me all my money on Venmo. Is there a way I can send that to Larksong? Yes, there is. You can just Venmo Larksong. And it's LARKS-song, S-O-N-G. And then that arrives to us too. If you're like, I actually brought my checkbook tonight, we will also accept checks because there's no processing fee for that, and that's amazing, right? So if you have a check tonight, actually give that to this guy, Brandon, before the end of the night. Brandon is our board treasurer. Want to thank our board members that are in the room. We've got Brandon Charlton, Brittany Ussery, Aubrey Ghaffari Haravand. I'm missing one. Am I missing one? She's gone. She went downstairs. Okay, and Madeline MacKinnon. A lot of our board members are actually living in other states and are joining us virtually, so we're grateful to have them in the room as well. All right, Dr. Sarah Farmer is a practical theologian, spoken word artist, and educator who listens for wisdom in unexpected places. She currently serves as Associate Director for the Wabash Center for Teaching and Learning in Theology and Religion, where she helps shape spaces of transformative learning and deep formation for theological educators. Her journey has included teaching in women's prisons, directing programs at Yale Divinity School, and serving as Associate Professor of Practical Theology and Community Development at Indiana Wesleyan University. Across every context, Sarah's work asks how wisdom takes root. In carceral spaces, in the lives of young people, and in communities longing for justice. She is the author of Restorative Hope, Creating Pathways of Connection in Women's Prisons, and the co-author of Raising Hope, 4 Paths to Courageous Living for Black Youth. Okay, wait a second. Can people buy those books? Is the best, hold on. Where's the best place for them to buy those books? Exactly, right? So okay, all right. So should they email you or just talk to you before the end of the night if they want some? Okay. Because Amazon, you don't really get money from Amazon. All right. Sarah is raising 4 beautiful and hilarious children and loves cheering them on in life. She also enjoys watching superhero and Hallmark movies, listening to mystery audiobooks. I'm going to need to get your best of the last couple of years. Mentoring women and puzzling her way through creations made by BIPOC artists. Whether in a classroom or on stage or around the dinner table, Sarah is committed to seeking and sharing wisdom that heals, connects, and liberates. Please welcome Sarah.
Thank you for that introduction. Wisdom speaks from the hilltops that new possibilities are on the horizon, that transformation is arising from the places where we least expected. Protected, hope against hope. I see possibility, a gift to be opened, a treasure to be explored. Listen to her. If you could ask for one thing in the world and get it, what would it be? When I was 13, I would have asked for the freedom to hang out with my friends for really late, whenever I wanted, because I had the type of mama that was get in before the street lights was on. When I was 20, I would have asked for a nice, handsome, chocolate man I could grow old with. Y'all don't pray those type of prayers. When I was 30, I would have asked for unending wealth. And yet, I've always been baffled by one king who had this opportunity. The great King Solomon, within the Jewish, Islamic, and Christian traditions, had the opportunity to ask God for any gift in the world. He didn't ask for honor or the death of his enemies. He didn't ask for wealth or long life. He asked for wisdom to govern the nation. What did King Solomon know about wisdom that I don't? What secrets did he understand about her value and brilliance? The invitation to speak on the topic of wisdom is humbling. And I've already been so blessed and inspired by those who've already spoken. But this invitation on wisdom is humbling, especially in a time when it feels like there is such wisdom needed to lead our nation, our communities, and our homes. What is wisdom? I want to start out with a classic example that I know you've all heard before. So how many of you know that a tomato is a fruit? Raise your hand. How many of you put tomato in your fruit salad? Raise your hand. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Knowledge can recall information. Wisdom can apply it. Knowledge knows what to say. Wisdom knows how to say it and when to say it. It is possible to have knowledge and still not be wise. Because wisdom offers the judgment and discernment to help navigate the how and the when of a situation. Wisdom is directional. I'll never forget when I was trying to make a decision between taking a job in Atlanta and taking a job in Connecticut. How important it was for me to seek out, to exercise wisdom. And it was a hard decision because in one sense, the thing I should have done would just take a tenure track position in my discipline at a research university is what many people would have told me to do. That's what I should have been doing. Yet seeking out mentors and listening to the voice of God led me in a completely different direction. Knowledge told me to stay in Atlanta where I was because I was comfortable, I was loving what I did, and to be honest, it just made sense because this is the way the academy maps out the path to success. But wisdom told me there are other things that matter more than the academy's definition of success, that there's a community that I'm accountable to that is beyond the ivory tower, that wisdom, that community of accountability, still helps guide me. Wisdom speaks. And wisdom helps you decipher between voices, like when insecurity spoke louder and I asked my boss why I felt like an imposter in these spaces. And she reminded me that I couldn't have worked as hard as I had as a Black woman in a white male-dominated space and still be an imposter. Wisdom speaks. She speaks in the voice of experience. The wisest words weren't those that sounded the most profound or that contained words I couldn't pronounce. The wisest words came from a life lived well. Sharing with me about her own overcoming, wisdom might have a limp, but profound revelations don't often emerge from perfection, but failure. Wisdom speaks. She forged in the womb of failure, loss, and pain. She, not limp-free. Restraint learned from burnt tongue. Quiet strength in her gaze, not easily phased. Because scars tell stories. Wisdom bearers, elders, sages whose discernment bears fruit in their deeds. Ordinary people formed by taking heed to her when she speaks. Wisdom. Her invitation extends to us all because sometimes the greatest wisdom is learning how to get up when we fall. To walk with a limp that only time and experience can make beautiful. To offer age-old warnings that protect us from pain, meaning making in the face of trials. Sometimes I think we don't pursue wisdom because we feel it's unobtainable. Yet wisdom is accessible. Yes, it is often earned through time and experience. Yes, you can't just go get a book and grab it, but it is accessible. We access wisdom in many ways, through rhythms of stillness, where rest and reflection create the needed space to capture learning moments. And sometimes the most logical thing is not the wisest thing. And if we don't create rhythms of rest and reflection, we will miss those learning moments because we're enslaved to busyness. Wisdom speaks in stillness. I want you one day to try this activity. Write a letter to your 20-year-old self. And if you're 20, write a letter to your 13-year-old self. You will find that you have a lot more wisdom than you think you have. Life has taught you something about how to navigate relationships and challenges you face. You have wisdom to offer others. And let's be honest, for some of us, it is the counsel of others that have saved us from real deal public failures. Because wisdom speaks in the voice of others. We have all been shaped by someone's wise words that have helped avoid different kinds of crashes in life, sayings that guide us through storms, words that sometimes even circulate in the cultural context that we live in. For example, Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Or action speaks louder than words. Or two wrongs don't make a right. Or never put off tomorrow until tomorrow what you can do today. Or the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Or the Italian proverb, if you can't live longer, live deeper. Or the Chinese proverb, it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. Or the Spanish proverb, whoever gossips to you will gossip about you. Or the Chinese proverb, give a man a fish and you will feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish and you will feed him for a lifetime. Just for a second, take a minute to reflect on the most powerful advice you've received. Write those words of wisdom down. If I had an index card, I would give it to you. But just take a moment and really reflect on those words. Before you leave today, share those words with someone else. Because wisdom screams from the hilltops that new possibilities are on the horizon, that transformation is arising from the places where we least expect it. Protect it. Protect the vision that gives us a roadmap to newness, the hope that will empower us through this. Her presence mediating was foolish. Wisdom invites us to go beyond the surface, to discover purpose, transforming reality with truth speaking in the language of love, with the words of compassion, passion for, and passion with, passion for, and passion with each other. Wisdom speaks.
Wow, Sarah. Thank you. You know when there's sometimes when you just see somebody and like you kind of see their wholeness? First time I ever saw Sarah, I was like, she is a wise matriarch. And it takes a lot for me to say something like that. Yeah, I appreciate you. The wisest words that I have received in probably the last decade come from Richard Rohr. And he said that we either transmit or transform our own pain. Those are our choices. And as adults, we're responsible for our pain. It doesn't matter who inflicted it. Doesn't matter where the wound came from. I mean, it matters, right? It does matter. But when it comes to it residing in us, that's our responsibility. I'm about to go be with over 50 5 to 10-year-olds that have had a lot of pain transmitted to them. And I think the way that we transform it is through the 6 virtues that we've heard about tonight. So through humanity and through courage and through transcendence and through temperance and through justice and through wisdom, we can transform our own pain. And then we can transmit goodness. So I would ask for that to be the thing that maybe we commit to as we leave. That when we sense our own pain or those things that add to our suffering, not our flourishing, we take responsibility for transforming those. Maddie and Aisha, can you close us out? And Claire.
One of your classrooms. This is such a light-hearted way to, it feels like a very stark pivot from, but maybe it's not. But you can sing along. We're going to sing Valerie. So, yes. Yes. Yes, I think you should.
Oh my gosh, sing along if you can't sing. We Filipinos always sing when we can't sing. Have you done karaoke with the Filipinos before? no one can sing.
Yeah, Tori, you can do a little dance. You can get a little. Okay, that counts as dancing. Perfect.
Okay. Hey. Okay.
Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water.
Yeah.
And I think of all the things of what you're doing. In my head I paint a picture. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water. And I think of all the things of what you're doing. In my head I paint a picture. Well, since I come home, well, my body's been a mess. And I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. So won't you come on over, stop making a fool out of me. Oh, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, Valerie. Oh, did you have to go to jail? Or put your house on up for sale? Did you get a good lawyer? I hope you didn't catch a tan. I hope you'll find the right man who'll fix it for you. Oh, are you shopping anywhere? Change the color of your hair. And are you busy? Are you busy? Did you have to pay that fine that you were dodging all the time? Are you still dizzy? Oh, since I come home, well, my body's been a mess. And I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. So won't you come on over, stop making a fool out of me. Everybody, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, 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 Valerie. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water.
Yeah.
And I think of all the things of what you're doing. And in my head I paint a picture.
Come on home. And my body's in a mess. And I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over, stop making a fool out of me.
Oh, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, Valerie, give it up for Clarence.
Yeah.
Valerie, oh, why don't you come on over, Valerie?
Yes, thank you, Valerie.